Okay. We're online. Be sure to send Kit, Veronica, me, admin one your work, just so we know you're working. All right, so here's the challenge. All right, this is a tough one. This would be like a take-home test for a data analytics interview. The key though was, the key here was, did you try it? Did you run a query? Did you do a select star? Right? If you didn't open in your terminal, you gotta just like try, right? Because you could definitely example for lag and just try to write one query. So if you didn't do that, just always take a shot, because if I just tell you the answer, it's not going to sink in as much as if you do a little bit at least, right? If you try a little bit, you'll be able to absorb a lot more. So definitely put some effort if you didn't this time. This was a key article, right? I slacked this out last time. This was a key article. Understanding partition a little bit, right, was key for this. But first, we'll just start off with this. We'll just read the question, right? So the question was, list the difference between order amount and the previous order amount for that particular employee. So in this case, only employee 95 has made two orders. That was wrong. I found out when I ran, right? It was employee 94 and 95. So if we just took a look at the solution we did, so this query right here, so just paste it in. I'm gonna put it up at the very top here in the solution. We can run this query right now, and this just shows all the employees, all the order. It shows all the employees, right? All their orders, how much they spent, and the order date. So if we go down here, we could see like the leftmost column is employee ID. Leftmost column. Second column, employee. So we see employee 94 comes up a few times right here. And we see that order 95 was made by employee 4, right? And order 96 was made by employee 94. So we see the first order they made was $234, and the second order was $8. So the difference between 4 and 8. Nice, 2.6, right? So we should have, one of our answers should be 226, right? So that's what you should be doing before you even start this problem. Know the answer, because it's hard to just write a query and just hope that it's the right answer if you don't know what the answer is. So 226 is one of the answers for employee 94. And that's the wrong type of comment. And then over here, we have employee 95, right? And they made how many orders, Sandy? Two, right? Order 97, we see it 4 times. Why do we see order 97 4 times? Go to Rob's row. Transactions, right? Because order number 97 was ordered, it was canceled, it was approved, and it was shipped, right? So we have 4 records inside the shipments table for order ID 97. We're joining all the tables together, so we're going to see some duplicates right there. So we've seen order 97, and how much was order 97 for a G? This row right here. How much was this for? Will, Rob, 233. Good. And then what was order 98 for, Nick? $3. Excellent. So what's the difference between the both of them? 230. So perfect.
In my query, I don't have the order. I just have it canceled.
Yeah, when I sent out the SQL version, I put one number in there, right? So that's why yours might be slightly different than mine, but I gave that to you guys. So 230 for employee 95. This is what we're looking for. 226 difference between this order amount and the previous order amount. and then 230 difference, we'll just $sign, $230 difference between this order amount and the previous order amount for employee 95. This is what our SQL query should return, right? So we have our answer. Now we just got to get to there. This is, again, totally difficult problem. You can do this. You can get a job. What company is this? I forget. CD. Just go interview there because this might be the challenge. Right, so we did this first query right here. And then this query was like a query I had to do to be able to get to the final query. And let's talk about this query. Go to Nick. Can you explain this query to the class?
Sure. Well, we're base selecting everything from shipments, and we're joining to the orders on B. And we're verifying that.
So that was good. We'll stop. We'll stop right here.
The ID that we have in the shipments table as an action of order.
Awesome. Right. So over here, right, Nick mentioned that we're joining shipments to orders, and we're using the order ID column in shipments and the ID column in order. So why are we using the order ID column in shipments and the ID column in order? Let's go to Quasro. Perfect, right? The orders table is linked to the shipments table on this one column. This is the only column that kind of lets us link them together. The order ID is the only thing. But here's a question. Why are we even joining these two together? Well, what's the point of even joining these two tables together? What piece of information do we need from the orders table that the shipments table doesn't have, Haven? We need the mount. The mount is inside the orders table, right? This amount is inside the orders table, but it's not inside the shipments table. So we need to join us. That's what we need, right? We need that. And the reason why we need the shipments table is it has the employee ID. The employee ID, which the orders table does not have employee ID. So we need to join them because of that reason. So here we're using subquery. You could use a subquery anywhere in your code. So here I'm using it inside the where statement. Go ahead, Quap. Oh, where action equals order? You don't need that. Okay, let me try that right now. Let's see what this gives me. If you're correct, then that saves us. Oh man, what happened here? Does anyone see anything wrong with the SQL query?
No commas?
Oh, the comma at the top. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so we see 10 rows. And we'll do it, what I just said. "15 rows." Okay, you're right. That's better than this right here. I thought I needed this, but I don't need this. So I guess I'll just say one way. I'm going to just use this way now. Say better way. Cool. The reason why I had this where statement here, anyone know why I had the where statement here? Rob's right. I want to see specific action right here, but there's an issue. So the main issue is if I just did this here, I'll start off with that query. If I just did this without the where, if I did not have the where clause, there's a problem that I'll incur. I get so many order IDs. So 1, 2, 3, 4 order IDs for order 1, and then I have 3 or 5 order IDs. So if I get the previous order amount, it's going to be the same, right? If I use lag to get the previous row's amount, it's going to be the same order over and over and over again.
So that's taking all the orders and limiting the number of the occurrences of the same order ID.
Yeah, well, yeah, without using order ID, right? So I'm using the action column right here because every order can only be ordered once in our system, right? So you can only order this once. If you can order that item again, but it's a total order number, right? So because of that, I'm saying where shipments.action equals ordered, right? So this is such a simple query, things that you guys have done over and over again over the weeks, but there's a lot of thought behind it, right? Because I want that order ID to appear more than once. Because if it does, then when I get the previous order's amount, the previous row's amount, it's gonna be the same order. So once I have this, I can add the lag, right? I can do the lag on top of this right here. So let me filter this down. Get rid of this thing. Get rid of this thing, okay. So, and I'll get rid of this thing. Okay, that's better. So over here, this is almost the same query as before, except for this one line right here. This was the key. You could do this one thing right here, you would have gotten the answer for the most part for this question. So orders.amount 1 over previous order amount. That was it, this one line right here. Okay, what's up? Oh, okay. So what does this 1 represent? Anyone? Offset. You're right. Can you explain that in plain English though?
It's like jumping to like the next, either one up or one down.
Which one? Which direction? It's lag.
Down.
Up. Yeah, up. Yeah. So good. It's up. So Aaron simply, right? So with the lag function, we're going 1 row above, and then we're going to grab the orders.amount from that row, from the row above. That's what lag does. If we use the lead function, it would go 1 row below and grab the orders amount from the row below, right? And now we're putting it on the same column, the same row. So now if I run this query right here, or keep in mind this is the only real change from the previous query, this one line right here. So if I have one query right here, damn it. What did I do wrong here? The comma. Right, cool. So we see this is the mount column right here. We see the previous order amount right here. Right, so we see everything's not completely clear, right? Because we haven't gotten the difference. We haven't gotten the difference yet. So here we see employee ID 94 and employee ID 95. Pretty cool because take a look right here. For employee 94, this 7 right here, is this, what is this 7? Is this 7 the employee 94?
Yes.
Coming right here, right? Who's the employee ID for this one? 90, right? So we're always getting the previous row's amount, no matter whose employee it is, right? So over here, in this row, we're getting 92's amount over here. But over here, we're getting 234, which is employee 94's amount. So I could actually write this query a little better. I can amount right next to the previous amount. So that way it'll be easier to subtract from one another.
So pretty much allows you to look back at the number of rows and access data from the current that you're on.
Yeah,
Kind of thing?
yeah. So your row, you can go up a few rows and grab a cell
Right.
that from a previous row.
Okay.
Right. If you use lead, you can go down a few rows or one row and get a cell value over there. Right. So over here now, let's take a look at it. We see employee 94. Right. Here is employee 94 is right here on this row. Previous order amount is current amount is 8, and previous order is 234. So this is correct. This column right here is correct. And then over here for employee 95, the current order amount is 3, and the previous order is 233. Right here. So this is good. This is what we wanted. But now let's make it a little bit better. Right? So let's get the action so we don't have to manually calculate it. So what we can do over here, let me copy this one line right here. So we can make it a little bit better. So now I can just calculate the difference automatically, right? I could do lag amount 1 over, and what this does is it grabs me the previous row's amount, and then I could subtract that from orders.amount from this current row. I'm going to call this difference. I'm going to call this column difference. So now in this query, and now we see the difference, and we see 226 and 30, which is the two answers what we were looking for, 230 and 226. So at the very top right here, 226 and 230, those were the answers we were looking for. Now, but looking at this is kind of hard. We don't know, like we have to really sift to understand whether, like which row is correct or not, because all these other rows right here, these are incorrect because we're subtracting the order amount from a previous order, but not for the same employee. Not for the same employee. So we kind of have to filter this down in some way. So we can add another column right here where we compare the employee ID from the previous row to this row, right? So what we can do right here, this right, where is order employee ID? There we go. So this is the current employee ID for this row, and this is the ID from the previous row. Right here, right? Shipments.employee ID 1 going one above, and getting that employee ID from that row. So we run this query. Let me just make sure I'm recording. I am. Good. All right, great. So now we see employee ID and previous employee ID. And we could just worry about the times when they match, right? So does match, no matching, no matching, no matching, but all of a sudden we see a match here, right? So we see that this employee ID for this row is the same as the employee ID previous row, so that 226 does make sense. And over here we see 95 and 95, and then this 230 does make sense, right? And now we can filter out all the ones where the employee ID and the previous employee ID don't equal one another, right? So where the employee ID and the previous employee ID don't equal one another, we can filter all those out. So now, and now we finally get down to the answers we're looking for right here. We see 226 and 230, finally. So what did we do in this example? We took this entire query, right? This entire query, we wrapped in price, and we're selecting from this query. And then we're saying where, right here, where T1.previous employee equals T1.employee ID. So we're seeing where the employee IDs match. So let's go back.
Pretty much.
Go ahead,
we
Will.
merge.
Merge.
Kind of.
We're not really merging them. We're kind of
Per se, I mean,
we're
not
like
merging, but they
we're filtering
like
down.
complement each other, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, well, we are taking previous cell from the previous row
Right.
and putting it in this row, right? And we take another cell from a previous row and put it in this row, right? We subtract 2 cells, this cell from a previous cell, put that in this row. And then we filter down where the employee does not equal the previous row's employee ID, right? So as long as we get rid of those situations, every difference that we see right now is between like an employee's order and their previous, and that employee's previous order. So let's start off in the very beginning. First, we just join both tables, ship orders, right? We're just joining them together because the orders table has the amount and the ship has the employee ID. So we need them together, right? And we join on the order ID because that's the column that's the same in both tables, right? That's where we start off at. And then over here, right? I'm going to just delete this because this is stupid. Good job, Qua. Now, yeah, go, Qua. Nice. That was almost a little condescending, but
No,
no, it was fun.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
It was hilarious. Okay, so over here, the only reason we're doing shipments.action equals ordered, right? The only reason we're doing this is so we do, because we want only one ID per employee to show up. We want not only, we want unique order IDs per show up. There we go. Unique order IDs to show up. Because like an employee can have 2 IDs or 4 order IDs. I just don't want the same order ID coming up for each employee, right? I want unique order IDs here. There is another way of doing this, but because I can get away with this where right here, I'm going to do it this way. There is a fancy way where you get rid of duplicates. It's a little complicated. You kind of do a self join to the table. I'm not gonna do
Would
that.
it be easier or?
No, it'd be much harder.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I did it this way, because you can get away with it. And then over here, right, where we finally use the lag, right? And go ahead, let's go to Derek Juthika, explain lag to the class.
So lag takes the prior row's cell and
Excellent, right? That was perfect. It takes the prior row, the row above, a value from there, and puts it in the current row. That's all it does, right? Lead does the opposite. It goes down below the next row, grabs a value and puts it in the current row. Go ahead, Rob.
Orders amount, that's the column, and it's selected
From the previous row.
When you say 1, you're just going up.
I'm going up only 1.
But
Yeah,
2, now
we're going up 2 levels. Exactly. And this over, the reason why I have this, I don't have anything in here, is first off, you need over for this to work. I don't need to filter this down further. I don't need to say order by or anything inside of there, right? This is all I want to do is get the previous row's value. That's it. So that's why I have this blank inside. I usually don't fill this in doing an aggregate.
When you're using land or lead,
Mhm.
this is a column creator.
It's a window function. So it's creating a virtual column. It's not going to change the table in any way.
The way that we see it.
The way you see it, there's going to be an extra column.
It's not physically changing the table.
It's not, no, when you do a select, you can never change the table, right? The only way to change the table is with an alter command, which, I mean, we don't really need to worry about right now.
And then can you talk more about the over?
Yeah, so the reason why I don't have I don't have anything over
Yeah.
is because I'm not doing like meaning I'm not counting, I'm not summing up, and I don't have to rearrange, I don't have to rearrange the table in the sense like I just want the previous row. That's it in this situation. I don't want to rearrange the table and get the previous row at that point, right? You could further customize this. We don't need it. We don't need any of that behavior right now. So I get the previous order amount from the previous row. And then over here, I just get the previous order amount from the previous row and subtract that from the current amount, right? That's the difference. And then over here, I get the previous employee ID from the previous row, right? So I can compare it with the current employee ID, right? The reason why I'm going to do this is because I don't want to, let's say Aaron orders something, right? And then right after I order something, Aaron spent $10, I spent 15. The difference is 5, right? But really because Aaron isn't me, right? It's not my previous order. So that I need the previous employee ID here. And then over here, finally, right, I only want the records where the previous employee ID is the same as the current employee ID. Right here. And this finally does it right here. You go ahead.
Just summing or finding the difference. There's really you really can't use lead in that situation. For those, particularly for trying to find, like I say, sum or the difference.
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, you're right. If you want to use,
because in this example, if you did the bottom one would go to like employee number 95. Look
yeah,
below it, and there would be no.
you could do lead,
Yeah.
and then take the next row's amount and subtract it from the current amount. So you could do it. You could use lead.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a challenge right here, but if you can explain this in your own words, put this as a flashcard, right? And that would be fantastic. There won't be a SQL problem you won't be able to solve on any interview. All right, so let me send this out. Go ahead, Kwal.
I know there's like an and operator for where statements.
Mhm.
How come you knew to do it like this? Like,
Oh, so why do I see a where here and a where here, guys? Anyone? Different. So this is for this. Good job, Aaron. It's a subquery, right? So right, Judika, Aaron, right? This is a subquery. So this where belongs to this, and this where belongs to. I'm filled. So this where right here is for this query, and I'm selecting from this query and then filtering down below.
so you ordered that first query with that for payment, right?
Mhm.
Why can't you like give it another condition, which is the second where?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying why didn't I just do this?
And yeah,
And
I tried it.
yeah,
It didn't work.
the reason why is because it didn't work, right? but the reason. So here's the thing, though. When you give shortcuts like this, over here we see previous order amount. We see this. MySQL's a liar. Like you can't. It lets you make a column, but it doesn't let you filter on that column or group by. Because it doesn't let you. Because it looks like it's a column, and it looks like you can use that column and put it inside of your where statement, but you can't. Right? The only way you can do on it is to wrap it inside of parentheses, select from it, and then do it on top of it. Right? You could do a subquery.
How deep do these go? Like, I mean,
Yeah, you can go really. So if let's just say you work for a company, a big company. Fox, right? Facebook, Google, right? How many tables do they have? How big is Facebook's database? How many columns do they have on you, right? Because here, I'll give you an example. When you go in, let's say you're about to comment on your friend's post on Facebook, right? Right? Let's just say you're about to comment on your friend's Facebook post, right? You're emotional. You just drank a lot, right? And then you type out this long comment, and then you realize, this is stupid. I shouldn't post this, right? And you delete the whole thing. Facebook has it, right? They're somewhere in their table. They have all that data. They also have how long you spent typing that out from start to finish, right? All that information. So they have so much information about every single person, right? So you could imagine like their queries when they're trying to learn stuff about you. The queries are far. And this is how they do them, right? So one of those for the data class, he worked at Facebook, and he just went over, like, he would just download some data from Hadoop and then import into MySQL and then run queries on it and then make PowerPoints and not from there. Like, this is what they do. But let's say there's, in this example, there's only 2 tables. Imagine there's 100. One query. But you can make the left joins a lot to look at by using what? Because remember, we did it on Saturday. You can make a virtual table. What's that called? A view, right? You could wrap a bunch of left joins inside of a view, and now you're just select starring from that view instead of like 500 code. So there's a lot of ways you can make it better, but that's why people get paid for it. It's hard. Okay, so let me send this out to you. This concludes the SQL that we'll do. All right, so go ahead, download this file. And by the way, this is harder than the analysis class. Like, they don't go this deep, right? It just, they really don't, unfortunately. But the only reason I did was I just asked students that were all going on interviews, like, what were the interview problems, and then we did them in class.
Thank you for that.
No, yeah, absolutely. Because Rob, you were a data analyst, right? Yeah. So
I did.
well, this was good for you then. Yeah, Sandy.
On the query, and as you had found at the very top, and you have the nested query, but you never said where, like.
Oh yeah, so I'm select. You can select from a subquery. So I'm selecting from this. So you could have a query in the top, in the select. You could select from it, or you could have a subquery inside the where. So you could have a subquery anywhere.
I know that T1 is kind of like its own.
Yeah, if you off the T1, you like I name this. You can name this whatever you want. I named T1, but if you don't give it a name, it's gonna throw an error and say you need a name.
Make another query separate from this query that calls T1. Has its own table.
Yeah. I mean, if you mean like wrap this whole thing
No, like,
in a query.
just start another completely new query. But
Oh yeah, you could left join to T1 if you wanted to. Like over here, I can left join T2 on T1 dot some column name equals T2
no,
dot.
no, it's just like away from this query itself. Like go to a new line. And you still do some.
Oh no, now that's gone.
It's not like a variable.
No, it's not a variable anymore. Yeah, that's done. Yeah. So would love for you to go over this, run the queries in your own MySQL instance. Go over line by line, try your best to understand as much as you can. Write down events. So we'll do this for 10 minutes. Yeah, Aaron, they kind of go, it's like weird. They go over this stuff, but they don't like have any tough problems. So they go over like a subquery. Yeah, I know, that is. They go over subqueries, they go over group I's. Guaranteed, yeah.
Like, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I know.
I appreciate it for sure.
They definitely cover the material. They just don't do any hard problems.
Well, I bet you it's not a boot camp either.
That's a boot camp.
It is. Is it 6 months?
It's 6 months, yeah. They do a lot of Python. Yeah, but SQL is the most valuable skill for a data analyst.
It's everywhere.
It's the most valuable skill, period, data analyst. Like the Python, like anyone can really learn. I mean, the Python can learn. The SQL takes practice to really get good at.
The SQL only going to be in interviews that are data analyst positions.
You'll get that are much simpler than this, but I'm certain if you did show them the SQL you could do, they will be impressed.
No, I'm saying for those that aren't data analysts.
Yeah, you will. Like I had, since my job, I was a dashboard person. Like I just made dashboards. It's funny because business analyst at my job, and he would do the same thing that we did, but in Excel.
Oh.
He would do the same thing we did, but in Excel for the CEO. And we did, like, we were the chief operation officers team. He was the CEO's team. So we were both really good at like SQL. He was also really good at Excel because he was making all his dashboards in Excel. So he's very good at that. Depends on your job. Yeah, so because my job was very much dashboard oriented, like it's a very big part of our job.
You said views. Are you talking about materialized views?
Oh no, just like it's like
What's the difference?
remember we did create, where was it?
Views and views. I know you should last time, but when I was working at sourcing, materialized views.
I've actually never heard of materialized views. I've heard of like view, this thing, right? Yeah, that was the virtual table
I think that's called materialized views.
in Oracle.
I can Google it. I think in database.
Interesting.
If that's what we did. Like a local copy of join data.
Oh wow, so that like,
Oh, no, it's a good point.
wow, I never heard thing.
A lot of customers do it. There are a lot of tech companies do it.
Damn, this is really interesting. So this means I never heard of this. It caches the query, so it's faster.
Yeah.
Damn, I thought views did this by default, but I guess maybe not.
Trust us a lot like with data warehousing. Anytime you're talking about data warehousing.
Cool. I wonder if MySQL has it. Probably not. SQL doesn't support materialized views. Lame. But Postgres does and Oracle does. Yeah. You worked for Oracle, right? Watching a documentary about the CEO of Oracle. Did you ever meet him?
Larry Ellison? No. We used to have a joke that he was cryogenically frozen. Nobody ever saw him. In like videos that they would send out to us, and it looked like they were made like 10 years ago. So we like thought like we made.
That's pretty fun.
Or it's like a weekend after any type of situation.
Yeah. He's just frozen and running. Yeah, he's just running the company back. No, but I saw him speak once at Oracle Open World here in San Francisco. And it was real.
Could have been an actor. And whenever I see the founder of my company, I get just scared. I don't know why. It's like I have the fear of God in me. Don't screw up. Don't screw up. It's either root, password, or enter.
Errors when we're trying to run the final query.
Really? Let me see. What does it say?
Just the syntax error.
Line 4. Let's just run this query. No. Oh. Interesting. Oh, you probably ran this query a bunch of times. This file, so you're gonna have a lot of duplicates. Okay. What do we see? Here, it's interesting. What if you don't have the version of MySQL? It's possible. Interesting. My stash fee. Way to be different, MySQL. Oh, no, you have version 8, so this should work. It's probably because maybe some white space happened. Yeah, it's probably just some white space, I'd imagine. Some more to wrap. Let's try this now. Oh. Third eye, I'm surprised. 1 second, let me just go on break. All right, guys, break time, 15 minutes. Let's figure this out. I mean, I wonder if I could just select star from orders. Okay, that works. Select star. Flag. Orders dot amount 1 over. Huh. That is surprising. Yeah, let me run the same. Let's see. Star. Huh, I guess I do have an. What the hell did I do wrong? Oh, the comma. I missed the comma. And that worked. Got 23, 23, 45, 45. Why did you not work? What the hell?
Doing pretty well with it, actually.
Okay. Well, let's see. This is mysql-v. That's 8.015. You're on a later than I am. I was going to say upgrade, but I need to upgrade. How that's not working?
So I'm on the manager side.
Okay, select star, comma. I just type it out. Lag orders dot amount.
So I have it going to this.
Inside MySQL.
Oh, why am I doing that?
Yeah, control C. There you go.
Not the first time I've done that. Yeah.
Damn it. That's not helping. I mean, I just can't imagine there being an error.
Check the manual that corresponds. I keep getting this.
So which one?
So right here, I'm doing this.
Maybe I have to put in something.
Let me just make an array. And then just make a corresponding. So each item, the first question mark will be the first element.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. But insert ID.
That was W.
Oh, you can also just make like a.
That's cool. I guess you can do this.
Just one?
Don't get
Yeah,
distracted.
just one. And that's the first thing. This one should make sure this one under one right?
They actually, yeah. Oh, you mean like they're
No, you can do that.
Did the partition thing work before?
Actually, I'm not actually sure. Yeah,
I should do it?
Yeah.
Let's see. That's the sales TV.
For the connection, make a variable.
I
No, before.
That's okay.
Same line bar query equals
Oh, calling, making a connection.
I guess we don't have the sales table, but that's okay.
then,
It's so weird, man.
no, before, so
Let's see if this works.
before the if, yeah, before the if.
Before the F?
Yeah. Also the query that's
To get rid of all the lags.
let's see what's going on. I know.
This is so weird.
There wasn't like any installation.
No.
Stuff.
I mean, did you install this using Homebrew?
Yeah.
Here's another problem we recently, where we have to keep running.
Yeah, you did use it Homebrew.
When we had the
What
food
the
counter,
hell?
we had to like also put a product.
So our support team
Let's maybe get rid of that one.
trying to insert
Doesn't work.
okay. Just use set here. Insert in product. Set.
Here, let's crowdsource it.
That should work that way? Okay.
Slack open.
Yeah.
Crowdsource. Hey guys, you can help us debug a situation. That'd be great. It's in the general channel.
Product sales is, I product sales is a new column that has supervisor value. And so maybe should I have to put a
Just Slack me that right
zero?
now.
I forgot about it. Getting ahead of myself.
To put a comma
There's
before
a
the-
comma in front of the star. They call it star.
I can just put a zero there.
Oh, we have a comma. Select star comma. Oh, yeah, we need the comma. If you can try running the query on your database, that'd be cool.
There you go.
Kit.
Okay. What's going on?
Yeah, we're just getting this error. Like I run the
How you paste it from Slack? Or did you paste it from Slack?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to make it raw.
So wait, I'll show you. I'll select it from Slack. Copy. Here. Run it. Enter. Works.
Okay.
Copy from Slack. Go to the terminal. Error. You have an error in your SQL syntax. Hang on the correspondence. The right syntax using the amount from orders at line 1. Shills.
Just type it again.
Okay.
I tried. It did not
Oh
work.
yeah? Manually?
I just did the product sales.
Yeah, let's.
See, this works.
I'm gonna make it and take a piece out. Yeah, that language is really chunky.
Ah, motherfucker.
Once you get it, you get it. Yeah. So really, like, imagine how easy it is.
It's the same deal. It's not working.
What version is this one?
I checked that. He's on version 8015.
Oh, okay.
I'm on 8012. Let's downgrade your version, maybe. Maybe that'll do it. 8015 version. How to downgrade MySQL to a specific version. Homebrew. Maybe version 1 has some issues. I'm gonna grab this. Try that because that's the only thing I think of right now. Brew, homebrew, services. Version 1.5 does not have window functions.
It's impossible.
It's just like
I don't think so.
No, you're right. It doesn't make any sense, but why would his version not? She's on version 1.5.
Oh, she is too? So she's having issues too?
No, it's working on hers. Damn it. Here, let's close out of this.
Yeah, I was thinking just
Terminate.
that was gonna be my suggestion.
Terminal.
Yeah. So it's not sticky note. Oh, is it not? There we go.
It's like a secret password, then you want to change it because it's gonna go in your files and stuff.
Really hard to do.
Show
Oh,
data.
gotcha.
Use
Make a generic password for your MySQL. You don't wanna
star. Wow. Son of a bitch. Org. And let's try one more time. Let's get rid of this star.
I mean, I've already shown.
Maybe in the beginning.
They changed it, I guess.
Select star, comma, do that. You changed that?
Yeah, star comma.
Does that not work?
No. Eric, can you guys come? Help, because I'm trying and it's just not working.
We didn't have to install for window functions specifically, did we?
No,
'Cause I
there's
remember-
nothing that's installed.
I remember I had trouble getting them to run during last class as well. But I figured it was like some little bug that I was missing.
You want to try
I
it?
don't know, it just seems like no window functions are running.
Where is your
Did it work?
Yeah.
Holy come on. Did you install it homebrew?
Mm-hmm.
oh, you got rid of that.
But if you copy paste the whole thing, then it should work.
Oh, yes.
It should.
What does it say? I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. What does it say? Like this, you try this one, that thing. But in this, there is an error, right? There is a column.
There should be a comma there.
There should be.
Yeah, that's another column.
Mm. Oh, this is another. Oh, okay.
You see, look, Jessica, so I'm copying this exact query. You can take a look on the board. Copying that exact query. No, wait, that's,
Oh, yes.
it works.
The SQL version.
See, it's 5.7, come on.
5.7.
Yeah, right.
Oh, his is 5.7?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, you were on a, how are you? Okay, interesting. He's on version 5, so yeah, interesting. But he's not, his homebrew says different version. Okay, it's interesting.
Okay, you check the.
Good job. Good job. You able to over there and just point out his version number? He's got to fix that.
Too low?
This is too low. Maricel, did you do that? Did you check his version number?
Yeah, it's a mistake.
It's pretty. That was smart because I checked his version number in another window. He has another version of MySQL.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, he has 2 versions of MySQL, so that was challenging. Oh man. It's always good to ask for help. I would not have gotten that. All right, guys. New activity. It's going to be a little review from the past. All right, it's going to help us into today's class. Today's class, we're gonna make an API. We're gonna create our own API. But first, we're gonna just go back and use an API that we've already before. So in this activity, I want you to make an HTML file. You're gonna use jQuery. You're gonna hit this route right here with a specific function, right? You're gonna take the JSON result and put it onto the screen. So what function would I hit this URL with? A job, Rob. Nice. Good memory. Cool. So download this file. G, give me a thumbs up when you have it. Excellent. All right. So, yep, new material. Making APIs. But we're going to just use an API for now. Just so far, no new material, but. All right, so 15 minutes, you're going to hit that API. If you want to test out whether that link works or not, do. If you want to test out, if you want to see what data this URL has, what can you do? You can go to it. Good. Right? If you can go to see what this has. Yeah, that version of MySQL is on 5.7 or something. And then there's another version of MySQL that's on 8, but we're not using the one that's on 8. Such a crazy bug to like deal with. Because I checked the version number right in front of you. And we're like, fine.
So is it good now?
No, we're not good.
We're not good?
No. we have that.
Okay. Maybe I should install MySQL and then install the correct version.
No, don't worry. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Or I'll have to figure it out. I think we have to uninstall this version of MySQL, but first what we can do is we have to uninstall this version of MySQL. But that sounds so simple, but it's not. 10 minutes left. That's 6 minutes left. Yeah, you could just throw it all into the screen. Yeah, the whole thing. All right, guys, let's do this together. So I'm going to go right-click on the folder, make a new file, call this 404.3solution.html. And then how do I scout HTML, Williams Rowe? Tab, nice, cool. And now I'm going to get the jQuery link, jQuery CDN. Just Google that real quick. Or you can go to a previous file. I'm going to do this from scratch. I'm going to go to the latest version, click minified, copy the script tag. Copy button. Does it work? Nice, it worked. Cool. So we got jQuery. I'm going to make a script tag right now. And now what I want to do is I want to make an Ajax. So what does that Ajax call look like? Let's go to Haven's row. Haven and Aaron.
$. Big .ajax.
.ajax. And over here, what goes inside my object? URL, comma, method, colon, get. Excellent. And then in here, we're going to put in URL from the activity. Let's see what's that. So can we grab this, put that right here. And then what do I put over here? .then. And we'll just console log it for now. So we're just going to console log res and see if it works. And go open this up in the browser. We see we have an object. Looks like all the information we want. Perfect. So now let's put this onto the page. I can do, if I want to select the body tag, how would I do that? How would I body tag Nick Ebony? Body. And if I want to put res inside the body dot, what function would I use? HTML. Cool. So we'll put res right there. Good job, guys. And let's just see if this works. And we don't see any of the screen, so let's see. So we have to probably stringify it like Nick suggested. So we'll do json.stringify res like that. Now we see the information on the page, right? So if you want to see what json.stringify does, I'm going to throw a breakpoint. Just write the word bugger semicolon on line 16, right? So I'm going to stop the code on line 16, right? So I have the console open, and we're stopped on line 16 right here. If I hit escape, it brings the mini console up, and we can see res is, right? So it's like I stopped on line 16. So I type in res, and we see this object right here, a JavaScript object. If I do json.stringify on it, see how it turns into, what data type is this now? A string, right? Before it was an object, but json.stringify it, it's a string. Exactly. Questions on this?
Why did it not work for res?
Yeah, so I guess the HTML function can only take a string. Any questions?
.text.
Yeah, .text should work with res, I think, but it's going to show object. So we got a JSON.stringify either way. JSON.stringify. There we go. What API did we hit? OMDB. You guys are going to make your own API. Recently, there was this site, pissed them off. But I talked to the founder. We're not friends anymore. But it's their business. They sell fantasy data. That's all they do. So they scrape it, and they put it into a database, and then they sell it for money. And they have a free version, but I don't know. They're making money off of it. So you can sell data and make money on it. It's a business. You have to find like a niche, right, of data that people want, but it's out there. Go ahead.
I just found it interesting because they have licensing rights to use that.
I mean, once you get the data, you can as long as you get it on your own.
Well, I'm saying like on their website, like if they're using this is a commercial enterprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm assuming if they start, selling it to DraftKings or something, but DraftKings probably works with NFL directly. Yeah. I would imagine. Yeah, I don't know if they have the rights or not.
I mean, even just go to their homepage and just use it. Just using the Eagles logo and.
Oh, all of that stuff. Yeah, they definitely don't have any. No, absolutely not. Oh yeah.
So with regard to the data, if it's all online, I mean, ESPN posts a lot of data. I mean, you can just watch the game if you want, take your own data. So I don't think you're in trouble for having just data on.
Oh, he was talking about the pictures.
Right, but
Yeah.
regarding the data.
The data shouldn't be a problem there. Yeah.
Public domain data.
Yeah. Without a doubt. And yeah, so have you guys heard of Crunchbase.com?
Yeah.
Crunchbase.com, like a lot of startups, here startup information. And there's actually an events tab relevant to you guys if you ever want to see a certain event, but they have a ton of data on startups, founders, and then they started selling this because it's very valuable. So for example, if you're in sales, you could target companies that just IPO'd because maybe they're flush with cash, maybe, right? So I mean, like, this data is valuable. So what I'm trying to say is, with the skills that you'll learn today, you could start your own API, right? You can get data, put into a database, make an API, launch it, and charge money for it. Right, so that's what we're going to do today. We're gonna make APIs. Let's just quickly go over the objectives. Nick, you want to read the first one?
Students will do one simple problem utilizing Lab.
Yep. So we did that already. Number 2, Ebony. Yeah. We just right. We're just hitting an API, testing that out. 3, Haven.
Students can make their own API using an NPM package called Express.
Yeah, so today our own API using this package called Express. And number 4, Aaron.
Students will compare and express other packages from other languages, Sinatra package from Ruby, Flask package from Python, and CodeNider from PHP.
CodeNider.
A bit gross, but it's the best Java has Spring Boot from Java.
Yeah, it's all similar kinds of frameworks from other languages. Sinatra's really cool. Flask is really cool. We'll look at Flask later on in the class. CodeNider's great. Java just doesn't have anything that's like super simple, but Spring Boot's like the best. So I'll go to these links and show you how it's similar to Express is today. So what I'm going to do is make a new folder, call this O5 Express Intro. I'm going to go into that file, into that folder. And how do I make a new npm package? I mean, a new package.json file, GZO. Cool. npm init -y skips the questions. So now we have a package.json. If I show you the inside of the package.json, there are no dependencies. I haven't installed any packages yet. And if I want to install the Express package, I do npm install Express. And now if I do cat package.json and see the insides of the package.json, we have one dependency right here. If I,
Edit that and take out the carrot, right?
exactly, want to take out the carrot.
There's no way to do that in the console, in the terminal.
You could. Nano. It's a coding editor inside of your terminal. Control X, Y, enter. It's easier to just do it in Sublime Text. Yeah, unless like you're super fast with Vim. There's another coding called Vim. It could save you a few seconds, but it takes like 7 to learn. Yeah. So I remember when I heard it, people were like, oh, you gotta learn Vim first. I started learning it, I'm like, I don't think I need to learn this. Yeah, so we got rid of that carrot because otherwise we don't want people collaborating with us to be on a newer version than we are. Will? Oh, you're about to say that? Cool. And inside our node modules folder, we will see Express right here, but it's using a ton of other packages, and those packages are listed inside our node modules folder right here. So now I'm going to make a new JavaScript file so I could use the Express file, call this app.js. And if I want to know how to use Express, where can I go? The NPM website is excellent. So if I go npm Express takes us to the Express page, which I will slack out right here. And if we scroll down, we see this code that we could just copy and paste right here. And now I can run this code. I copied and pasted it. I can run this code. And I'll go to my terminal.
Sorry, where'd you grab that code from?
Oh, I grabbed that code from the Express package, MSG Express package, which I slacked out right here. That typically any good package to have some code for you to start off at. If it doesn't, that's not good. It's not a good sign. Meaning you probably shouldn't use it. So I'm gonna now. So how do I run it? Qua node name of file. Okay, looks like it's running. Interesting is it's actually running on port 3000. It's running on port 3000. Right now the file is running on our computer just like mysql is running on your computer. We're running this program on our computer, so we can access it from localhost :3000 in our browser. And when I go to localhost 3000 in my browser, it's going to show some text. So when I go to localhost 3000, Haven, it's funny. So when we go to localhost 3000, we see the text hello world right here. Pretty simple, but we can do some more with it. I know I haven't really gone over anything, but we'll just make some observations. Over here, name. Right here, and I'll go Haven. So now I'm going to restart my server. Right, so I just Control-C, just restarted the file. And now if I go to, I see hello world. If I go to /haven, we see this JSON right here, right? /haven, this JSON. So the reason why I see that JSON is because this right, the route, meaning the URL that you hit, and then this is the response, right? So if I go to / and this is the response. It's a string. And if I go to /haven, this response, right? It's an object with two keys, name and hat. Name is Haven and hat is true. So when you go to a website, you're going to a URL and it gives you the response is usually HTML, right? And really it's just it's giving you back a big string, and your browser is interpreting it and kind of putting things on places. So over here, it's an API site. We require the Express package, right? We require the Express package, and this exports an object. I mean, this it's a function, and we reference that function from the variable Express. We execute that function online, and that gives us an object, returns an object, which we reference from the app variable. All this stuff I just copied and pasted from the documentation, right, from that starter code. And then I can do a GET request, right? When people make GET requests, this URL, it's going to run this function and give them this response. So if I go back to the previous file, what method did we do for this request? We did a GET, right? So on OME side, this is what it kind of looks like. App.get, right? And then the URL right here. You can make these URLs smart URLs, which we'll learn in the next class. You can make them intelligent. So this one URL can encompass 100,000 URLs, right? You could put smart patterns right here where you can encompass like other URL, like tons of URLs, which we'll get into later. But for now, we'll just get into the basics, right? So when after this route is hit, it's going to run this function right here. It's going to run this function, and this is the response. App.listen 3000, we need this here because we need to run, we can't just run this file once. We need to keep it running. Keep this file running, right? Like MySQL. When you run MySQL, right? It doesn't just stop. Like you don't do mysql -u root -p enter, and then it just closes, right? It's just constantly running, right? So when you have programs in your like Word or Steam or whatever, right? It's running in the background. You can just keep using it, right? When you click the close button, then it's closed, right? Then it stops. So this is similar, right? This, you could think of this as a program. It's a very simple program, but it's a program, and we're constantly running it on a port on our computer, 3000. MySQL runs on port, what port? 3306, right? 3306, that's what MySQL default runs on, right? Because when we had to connect to it with 3306. So this one, we're just running on port 3000. Can it run 3001? Yeah, it can, right? If I run on port 3001, how do I get to the Haven route? 3001, nice. Right now it's 3001. Okay. So I can make this a little bit, I can put a function right here. So I can just put that. So after it's done running this code right here, it's going to run this function, and it's going to just print this in the console. So if I run this again, we see listening on port 3001. So now I know I can, it's running fine. I can access it from port 3001. So just a review, right? So in the previous exercise, we did a GET request to this URL using AJAX, right? So and now here we're kind of like going to the other side, right? We're going to the other side, creating an API. So if we're creating an API, we define the URL, the type of method, right? For now, we're gonna just do GET. In the future, we'll do post, put, delete also. But right now, we're just doing GET, right? When this URL gets hit, we're gonna respond with this response. When this URL gets hit, we're gonna respond with response right here. Questions? Yeah, go ahead, Marcel.
How do we know which part to use?
Yeah, you generally use 3000, right? It's a common port to use. You can use any above 3000 really, like 5000 something. Like most Python apps default to 5000, and most Node apps and Ruby apps will default to 3000. Not for any specific reason, they just know that those are open. Because no programs don't go up that. You don't want to use port 1. I don't know what uses port 1. Do you know, Kit? It's probably something important. Cool. Other questions? Yeah.
So what is JSON code then? Because are we not gonna learn JSON as a language? Is it a language? How exactly does that work?
Yeah, this is just JSON. Like it's basically just an object.
That's all it is.
Yeah, just an object. Go ahead.
Do you use both send and get in the same one, where?
Yeah, so the way it's structured, you always do app, right? Always do app, and then you define the method, get, post, put, or delete, and for a while we're gonna just get, right? And then you put the URL, and then you put the response inside of the function. Oh, I see. That's a great question. So once every request has only one response. Good question. Because like, if I ask you a question, you respond, that was your response, right? You could say something else to me again, but that's like that's a different thing. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
So then is JSON a part of JavaScript?
JSON is a part of JavaScript, but it's also a part of like every language there is. It's a data type.
Okay. And then what is like REST?
Yeah, so we're gonna go over REST.
Oh,
it's like this is part of REST. Okay. So REST has like 4 verbs: get, post, put, and delete.
Oh, okay. So that's
yeah. And then there's more to it. There's like, but that generally sums it up. It's basically a theory on how the web should be organized and how websites should communicate to one another.
Well, it's just a standard.
It's a standard. It's a protocol. Yeah, exactly. There used to be this SOAP not that long ago.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I know.
You remember SOAP?
Yeah.
And that's what people use. And then REST came and it just made things a lot easier. That's what we're going to learn. And what we're learning right now in about 5 years will probably be gone. There'll be something new. Kit, GraphQL. Yeah, GraphQL, it's growing momentum, right? I mean, are these things hard? No. I mean, it takes a little bit to get to, but they're not hard. Like staying up to date is annoying, but
So it's going to be what, the new API protocol?
it's going to be the new API protocol. It's yeah. So Kit learned it in his cohort. So Kit was a student in my class. He learned it for his last project.
Where's like Swagger and Ramble?
I don't know what that is. I gotta check that out. Express intro. I'm gonna send this to you guys. Oh, YAML. You say YAML? Raml?
Yeah, YAML.
I've never heard of it. I've heard of YAML, but
It's like a documentation call for the API,
Hmm.
something like that.
yeah, if you internalize your website, use this thing called YAML. But I've never heard of Raml. All right, so William. Oh, you got William.
Reading about like number 3,000, isn't that like an arbitrary number?
It's just usually open, meaning like, so like think of outlets. Your computer has, let's just say, on 100,000 outlets,
Right.
right? They're called ports, and each port, one program can run on it at a time, right? So as long as they're connected to it, you can run a program on it, right? And right here, when you're writing throughout this class, like every time you've written a JavaScript file, that's a program. Cool. So William, just let me know when you have this downloaded, npm installed, and running in your browser. And Rob, give me a thumbs up too. What's up,
I'm
William?
saying like 80 and like 443 are the new like HTTP.
Are you thinking stats?
Yeah.
So there's like
I was
status.
just recently reading something on it. That's why.
Yeah, there's like 200 status code, which means everything's good.
Okay.
404 means that we couldn't find it. A good site is HTTP cat. So you can click on a different status code and kind of see what each one means. Just it's like a way of understanding that. Exactly. Then you run queries inside of there, and then on with JSON with the data. There you go. You got it? Cool. All right, guys, just go over this with your partners. You guys, 6 minutes. Just going over this with your partners. Maybe make your own route. Make your own route.
I love when I can do that. the function of line 2? Is that just like establish a connection to the Express library?
Yeah, it's like that requiring it just isn't object. It's probably because maybe you require it export that function, and then you could use that in another file. That's probably why. Because sometimes you might have so many. Imagine a big website. You might have so many routes. You don't want to put them all in one file. You want to separate them out into different files. So then you would want to export that express variable, so you could use that in all the other files.
Yeah, I think like there was like a thing New Zealand outing. It's just like I keep.
Oh, really? I've heard one from my saying funny things.
What's up? Hmm? Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
All good. Yeah, I don't believe in the portfolio that much. I believe in GitHub being really optimized. Yeah, I don't think it's really necessary. I mean, unless you're a designer, I think it's obviously you have to have a portfolio. But yeah, exactly. I mean,
I'm like, shit. Like they kind of buried the lead on it. It's like update your LinkedIn.
Have the HTML page up, then you're fine. But I don't know.
Those two are easy things. Like maybe take a little like really do it right takes like.
It takes it like a month or two, right, to do.
Like half-assed it to like meet the requirements. And it's like, why am I doing this now? Like the top projects I want on there, I haven't even done.
You can't put anything on there, really.
Yeah, like I want 3 big projects to do the highlights. And I only have one of them. So. Right.
Yeah, I think if you really make your GitHub look really solid, like you can pin project on the ones that you want. You can put a summary, putting links, and then you can put screenshots in there. Really, be really solid. That's really important. And then optimizing your resume. You can have different resumes. Like I have a resume I'll submit, and then I'll have a resume that I'll bring in with me. The resume I'll bring in with me will be like 1 page, but the resume I submit maybe multiple pages because they have these keyword scanners that will stop. Like if you don't have certain keywords in there, then it'll just like take care, man. It won't even put you in there. It's pretty crazy how they filter people.
Yeah. So much to learn. Oh yeah. Branding.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Take care, buddy. Yeah. See you Thursday. All right, guys. So comparing Express to the other frameworks. So this is Express, right? We have app.get. We have this slash right here. We have a response. Oh, Will, just take a look real quick, right? So no, it's all right. We have get, we have slash, and we have a response right here. This is Express, and this is what it looks like in Ruby. In Ruby, there's a framework called Sinatra, and we require Sinatra. We say get slash frank dash says right URL, and this is the response. Ruby's a lot easier to read. Whatever the last thing inside the function in Ruby, that's the response. That's what gets returned in Ruby. So this is what it looks like in Ruby. It's very similar to Express, right? Get the URL, and then this function. This is what gets responded to. And then there's a framework called Flask in Python, which we'll look at later on. And in Flask, right here, we say app.route slash, and the default action is get, so you don't have to specify it, but that's the default action. So when you go to the root URL on this function and return hello world right here, and that's Python. And then there's Kiter. This is in PHP. It's as bare bones as you can go with PHP. I don't have an example in front of me, but it's similar in that format. And there's another one. This is Spring Boot. So Java's really verbose. There's a lot of code in it, but this framework's as simple as you can get. To make a GET request to the root URL, it's going to return hello world right here. Yeah, so there's a lot of frameworks that follow this format in this specific way.
Are there advantages to PHP?
WordPress. WordPress, yeah. Like you can, if you're good at PHP, you can like customize WordPress, you can make plugins, and the majority of the internet's on WordPress.
Yeah, but if WordPress didn't exist, would there be an advantage? I mean, unless WordPress shows
No.
something besides PHP.
No advantage.
Facebook's written in PHP.
It's in PHP. There's Drupal. It's another popular content management system. That's in PHP. Any like content management is usually in PHP.
Wikipedia. Wikipedia, I believe.
Oh, Wikipedia's in PHP? Interesting. It's just another language, like Node.
Oh.
But yeah, it's like another language. Yeah, it's what I started out at. If you got into code like before 2010, then it was probably PHP. Yeah, it's the easiest thing to learn and use back then. And there was no GitHub back then, so.
And then Ruby and Python, are those web?
Yeah, Ruby and Python are both web.
So how many languages browser handle?
Well, the browser wouldn't handle them, the server would.
Oh,
and you would just respond with HTML or JSON. Yeah. Cool, so here's an activity, last activity. I already slacked it out. The activity is in make a real. You're gonna make a route called Tom Cruise, respond with an object including his birth year and a movie. Same thing for Antonio Banderas. An object including his birth year and a movie. Carell, his birth year and a movie he was in. All right, so you're making 3 routes, and you're gonna respond not with send. What do you respond with? JSON, reson. Nice. And then we'll go over this in 8 minutes. You guys can copy the previous file.
Where's the first thing you search? When you search temperature. Very really high up. She's a high up recruiter.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's like in the last 5 hours was our.
Yeah, who's that woman on King of Queens?
Oh, yeah.
She like spoke out against it a lot. She was the main actress on King of Queens. I forget her name.
Oh, right.
There was a whole documentary featuring her. Kings. Yeah. Yeah, Leah Remini.
Surviving top 9,000.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. It's pretty nuts how they're able to recruit as well as they are, though.
You ever seen the documentary?
Take like a page out of their book for the Python Data Club. Yeah, you have to get Tom Cruise and celebrities. I don't know how they did that. I still don't understand celebrities on board.
There's a lot more than you think. Search celebrities, technology.
Oh my God.
There's some prizes. Yeah.
Watch out! There's a club called Landmarks Forum in the Bay Area. Don't go to that.
Cult?
Yeah,
Where is it?
I don't know, but
Well, Scientology has a building here in the city.
really,
In like North Beach.
wow.
They're all about the same age.
That's interesting. I didn't plan that.
All the 2016 and 1962.
Those are the years where college was basically free without a scholarship.
Your JSON object is keys. They can't have white space. Can they?
If you want white space, then you have to put them in quotes. But you can't really do that. You want to just use camel or underscores or something. Even stay after, so we get picture. Yeah.
When you say route in this, you mean the path?
A path, yeah, exactly.
And then essentially you just want res.json for Ethereum and Ruby.
Exactly.
Key value pair.
Mm-hmm. That's it. All right, guys, let's go over it. So what I'm going to do right now is copy that folder. Name it to 07. 6 solution. And then go to our instructions, copy these instructions over, go into app.py. I shouldn't have deleted. Oh, .jas. Sorry, yeah. Okay, so now what I'll do is we'll make these 3 routes. Just comment this out. Cut this one, paste it right here. And then res.json, was it birth year? Birth year movie? Birth year, what was the birth year? 62, movie. Thank you. Actually never saw that. I haven't seen any of them now. Oh man, looks like I got something to do.
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas, what was it?
Go ahead and do Shrek.
60? You say Shrek?
Yeah.
He was in Shrek?
Shrek too. I mean, come on. How about like Zorro for sure.
Desperado. That was a really good movie.
Once upon a time in Mexico.
But that was a good movie too. It was a little excessive. Just, takes out a guitar case, missile launcher.
That's so cool.
There isn't a make that where you're a string rather than an integer.
No. Yeah, let's keep it as a number. And Steve Carell, what was his birth year? Oh, wow. And movie?
40-year-old virgin.
Was it great? He's such a good actor. Such a great actor. All right, so let's take a look at this. How do I run our app? Perfect, right? It's running on port 3001. So let's go to it. What happened here? Tom Dash Cruise.
Is it still 3000 or did you switch it back?
Yeah, it is 3001, surprisingly. Here, let's go to the root routes. Tom Dash Cruise. Is there a capital? Okay. How is this happening? Let's do Antonio
Did you
Banderas.
change directories in terminal?
Right, that's probably it. I did. Let's do cat app.js and oh wait, what the hell did I do? I updated the wrong version.
Oh yeah, you're in 05 right now.
Yeah, I was in the wrong folder. Go home deep. Okay, so let's reset. So I have to restart it now for this to work. Node app.js. Let's try Tom Cruise. Great. So we see Mission Impossible, birth year 62. Antonio Banderas. 60 in Zorro. And Steve Carell. So we'll work on making next time, what we'll do is we'll do smart URL. So that way we could do any actor. We'll make a database and then make an API for that so we can have many actors inside of it, right? So we'll keep expanding off of this. Yeah, if you update this file, so let's say we make another one. We'd make another one real quick. Another actor, Steve Martin, probably 62. What was that movie? Blue something? It was Blue something. Huh? Father the Bride. There we go. I thought it was like Blue Streak or something. I could be wrong. Never mind. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Okay, I restarted it, and now we could do Steve Martin. Cool. Yeah, but you have to restart for each time. Yeah, every time you update it. Okay. So we'll have project 2 soon, right? In 2 weeks, we're gonna start our project 2. There's gonna be 2 options. Do a review with me, right? But there will be hard assignments for you where you have to complete them, or you could do your own project with your own idea. You could choose either one, right? A review of all the material up to this point, right? But with challenging problems that you have to complete, or a project your choice.
Does that mean like you're gonna have like a class and have to come in and like do problems here?
Yeah, we're gonna do problems.
You can work on a project?
Yeah, so you could, if you do your own project, you don't have to come. You can come.
I do want to come.
Yeah, but you don't have to come, and then you would work on your own project.
So this is starting in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
There'll still be one more project.
There's another project after that.
And they're individual, this one?
This one, it's group. It is group. So start thinking who you might want to work with also, and what you want to make.
And what other programs were that you can use?
MySQL and Node.
Okay.
Yeah.
And everything else?
Oh, and Express. MySQL, Node, and that's the main things.
Trying to shoot some trouble.
Oh, go to Kit first. You can solve it. Thanks. What's up, buddy? Feel good? Yeah, what's up?
Just catch up.
Okay, catch up.
Works for the opportunity that will present itself. But I think what you're doing, sort of the review and the activities.
You might change your
That's
mind.
probably my route.
You might change your mind.
I might-
Maybe might want to hang out with this guy a little bit, right?
It's almost like a slow down period.
You do learn a ton making a project, like so much that you won't be able to kind of learn, right? Like when you kind of have to think
more
of
like
something.
real-
It's the real world. You kind of have to make something, right? So whereas like class isn't the real world.
Try to do both.
You could
Participate, but maybe like not hold yourself against the activities.
Sure,
of us
yeah.
While working on it.
Yeah, you could do that. It's completely fine.
Thanks, Bye.
Cool. Take care, guys. Later.
Do you come up with the activities for them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, there are base activities. I just modify them. Just do that.
It feels like every activity is like 90s. It's funny. It's like, yeah, these are actors who had their prime.
90s.
In the 90s.
Love the
I
90s.
mean, Steve Carell is an exception in this case.
Yeah, he's his career's still going, but
Steve Martin. Like, Tom Cruise. Blink 182. Metallica. The references are like 90s.
yeah,
like,
90s references.
This was their decade.
Yeah.
It's great. I love
Yeah.
it.
I did a whole class on Destiny's Child songs.
Yeah. Got a few good albums.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
Apparently, Beyonce's mom ran Destiny's Child. Isn't that crazy? The hell?
Smart cookie.
What was my parents? I could do anything. And they were like, go to school, study. That was it.
Yeah. She knew she